we're a little late to the party, but I think it's still okay. I think it's a very interesting topic, which is that World of Warcraft, I believe it's specifically hard mode, had a bunch of bots who were farming a bunch of, items and
Talking about
various
hardcore.
things.
Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore mode. And then someone was making videos where he was going through and killing the bots and all that. And the response was him effectively getting doxxed, getting death threats and all this.
Yes.
And it got really, really out of control. And I personally have some questions because I watched the Asmongold take on the whole thing, and he made up both a good point and a confusing point to me, which is, it's a supply-demand market, right? Okay,
yeah.
Supply-demand. But Blizzard owns effectively the economy. Blizzard could just turn it off, and therefore this would not be a problem.
No.
And my big thing is, I don't know how technically you could just turn it off.
No, that doesn't make logical sense. You can't just turn off the in-game economy. Players have to be able to trade with each other. A big part of the in-game economy is having professions work with each other, so you couldn't just turn off trade, if that's what you're talking about. That
I think he was saying that they could just stop bots from happening altogether. But I'm pretty sure these bots are so sophisticated that it's actually real keyboard inputs. It's like everything from World of Warcraft's perspective, it's just a player playing on keyboard.
My background, actually, I worked at Blizzard Entertainment for 7 years. Part of my job there was I was the lead of application security for Battle.net, which was all of Blizzard's websites globally. I was the head of that security team. I also worked on as a senior red team specialist, which part of what we did was find ways to catch people that were creating bots, catch people that were executing bots, and then turn those methods into risk to get lots of people banned. In my time there, we banned over 2 million accounts. It's very, it's a common thing. There are people that have been there that have banned over 14 million accounts because they've been there much longer, right? Risk team and our red team worked very closely with each other. The idea that you could just end all bots today is a pipe dream. It sounds like somebody who's basically just doesn't know anything about the business. And when it comes down to it, you are in a cat and mouse game. You are fighting against another team, and that other team is trying to produce bots, and you're trying to catch the bots, and your methods evolve, and you get a little bit of an advantage, and then their methods evolve, and they get a little bit of advantage, and then your methods evolve, and theirs, and theirs, and theirs. And it just keeps going back and forth. And eventually, it goes off into the sun to this level where new games that enter the market get absolutely blasted because all that arms race was happening before them, and they have to enter the market, and they go, oh, shit. And then people come out, and they go and attack that new game because they're like, why didn't you handle the bots? Because they're used to having less bots in other games. So you see this more and more. With World of Warcraft, they actually have a huge amount of botting activity, but it's actually not as bad as you would think. There's so much gold that gets removed from the game, and so many items that get removed from the game, and so many bots that get banned. The problem that I think Blizzard has isn't removal, it's communication. They don't tell anyone shit about that, and they should. One of the best things they could possibly do is put together a bot report and be like, we banned this many people this month. We deleted this much gold this month. We got rid of this many items this month. And they don't communicate that. And because of it, people just go, Blizzard didn't do anything. And that's so bad, dude. Like, it's such a bad position to be in. Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV does communicate that to players, and they need to do that shit as Blizzard, and they're just not doing it. And they've never done it. And Blizzard's continued stance on we don't want to communicate information like this to players is just insane to me. It's not a smart move.
I mean, would that actually change the perspective of players?
Yes.
Like, in all reality, because if they still see bots running around, does it matter that you banned 10, 100, 1,000, 10 million if they still experience bots?
Yes. And the reason why is because you're not going to convince the diehards that are already super pissed off about the botting experience that they're having, like seeing bots and things like that. You're going to show the people that are on the fence that are like, I don't know if Blizzard cares. You're going to show them, hey, they put out this thing where they did all this stuff and they're trying their best. And that's good to see. But right now they're sitting in an echo chamber of people just shitting on the company. There's no other alternative voice there. So because of that, no one can believe anything else. All they see is negativity and they see bots in the video game. They have to communicate about this stuff. It's one of the things that I advocated for when I was there, fell on deaf ears, and now that I'm on the outside, I'm seeing them make the same exact mistakes. They need to learn from other companies and start talking to their players about what they're actually doing that is beneficial for the game. Why they don't do that is insane to me.
Do you think there's any perverse incentives with these bots in the sense that, Blizzard still gets paid to have these bots run around, right? Like, these bots still have to purchase $15 a month accounts, and so there is some level of, if we don't actually take care of it, we still get paid kind of mentality?
No, I don't think that's the case at all. Like, to be honest with you, it's always a net drain on the economy, no matter what is going on. In terms of like real life revenue, it's a net drain. In terms of in-game problems, it's a net drain. I'll give you an example. One of the reasons that the WoW token was even added in the first place, which is you can pay $20 real to turn an in-game, make an in-game token that gives you a month of game time. You can then sell that to another player for gold. The reason that got implemented in the first place was to reduce account takeovers, which a lot of people don't realize. It introduced a new economy for Blizzard where they're making more money than a normal sub, because a normal sub's $15 and the token's $20. It allowed players that don't have a lot of money but have a lot of time to continue playing their sub and engaging in that game. It allowed people that have a lot of money and not a lot of time to buy gold in game without getting their account stolen. Because one of the biggest problems was people going to third parties, buying gold, and giving access to their account to the gold sellers, which is insane to me, but people do it.
Yeah.
And then contacting customer support and spending customer support's time and money to get their account back. It was a massive, massive reduction. I think it was when I was there, it was something like 70 to 80% of the tickets were account takeover reduced by this. Like, that's a massive amount of time reduced, dude. It did, unfortunately, and this is the shitty part, it led to layoffs because there was way less work. And customer support didn't have that much work comparatively anymore. It was that, and then also the implementation of self-service, getting an item returned to you. Because if you delete an item, you can go and put in a ticket now and just get the item back. All self-service. Back then, you had to call a GM and they had to do it for you. So that self-service system and then adding the WoW token reduced a huge amount of cost on CS, huge amount of time on CS.
I don't think I would have saw the reduction of CS time when it comes to that WoW token. I never even considered that as a pathway. I wasn't even really sure what to make of that token because I couldn't quite understand its usage. Does that also help legitimize these bots, though? Can they make those trades?
Gold farming stuff? It actually made it so that it was all within Blizzard's economy. So at the end of the day, Blizzard wins whenever one of those tokens is bought. And if you're having a person that's going engaged in that economy to go sell gold, why would I go to a third party when I just do it in game? It's not only easier, it's safer. It costs less on CS. Like it ended up being a net benefit. But the problem with it is it introduced pay to win to the game. So there's no like botting disadvantage here. There's no disadvantage for adding this in terms of like the botting behavior or stopping bots or anything like that. It is a disadvantage in that now you can go into the game, you can buy gold legitimately, use that on the auction house to forward your professions, use that on the auction house to go and buy BOEs, use that in the economy to go and buy runs and dungeons and raids and shit like that. Like that was a problem. That ended up being a big, big issue. Pay to win isn't completely true though. Yeah, it is. As somebody who raids, like I'm item level 636 on my Guardian Druid. I'm our main tank for a raid, 4 out of 8 mythic. I could just go buy an 8 out of 8 mythic run for about 15 million gold. I could do that. I could just throw down money, thousands of dollars to go and do that if I really, really wanted to. And I'm super, motivated to do it. And it would be legal within the rules of the game because of this. So with that in mind, like I could do that. And then every week that I did Mythic after that, it would unlock all of those bosses of loot for my vault. So it is absolutely pay to win, 100%. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get those into my vault and it would be restrictive on my progression, right? So like this is the thing you have to look at is when you try to say it's not pay to win, I'm going to tell you, as a person who plays the game heavily, that's bullshit. Straight up.
So I guess one more question, because I've been trying to think through this in my head. We're both programmers. We both generally know how these things work. Is there a way to fully stop these keyboard automated bots? Like, is there an actual way to tell a difference between them? Or is it just an impossible problem where they just, obviously connect to different VPNs, have different IPs, and just run many accounts. So it looks like, they're taking a break, they're resting, they're doing whatever they need to do and be able to run a bunch of accounts at once.
There's a lot of different methods to do this, and you have to evolve that method. So there's a couple different ways that you can run a bot inside of a video game. One of them is injecting into the client. So think of the client as a big box, right? I can't do an MS Paint on here.
You have a small box right now.
Yeah, a box. You got a box, right? And then part of that box is used up for the memory of a certain program. We're going to do this the easiest way possible. That little box is World of Warcraft. Now, as World of Warcraft, I'm not allowed to see any of the memory of anything else in the rest of your computer. I can only see World of Warcraft's memory. If another person comes along and they put something into World of Warcraft, they put a little program into there, that can then hook a bunch of stuff in the client. It can go and run different sections of it. It can make it do different stuff, right? Now, the server is going to be the master and says, I'm not allowing you to teleport around. That's bullshit. And then they kick you off the game, right? But if you're injecting, you're just saying, I want to send some button presses. I want to do this different types of stuff. You can just directly hook into the client and tell it to do these things immediately. Now, once you're in there, you're standing in my living room naked and I can see you. It's over, dude. Like I've caught you. Like the moment you've injected that client, like you're here. Everyone can see you. It's very obvious, right? So because of that, the bot like creators started to move away from injecting to the client and started moving to out of process where the client can't see them legally. So because of this, they're basically outside the house, but still controlling things inside the house by doing button clicks and everything like that. That is where the problem lies. And that's why you see so much of an advancement on companies now doing kernel level anti-cheat. Because kernel level anti-cheat, I can see the whole memory space of your computer. All the devices you attach, the rest of the programs, everything that is running. Kernel level anti-cheat is full control. Everything they can see. So then you can catch people at out of process. But with out of process, if you're not doing kernel level, you have to do heuristic analysis. You are detecting things that a real person could not do. Not ones that are unlikely, ones that are impossible.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of this. There's like the Shroud test, right? Shroud is a goddamn legend at FPS games. Dude can
He
click
gets
heads like
banned.
nobody else. Yeah, he gets banned all the time. The Shroud test is, heuristics are very difficult. They're very difficult, right? If you want to ban people who are cheating in video games, you need to make sure you don't accidentally ban Shroud because he's super good and he moves like a robot, legitimately. He's just too good. So with that in mind, you have to do these tests of like, is this impossible or is it improbable? A good example of this when I was at Blizzard was there was a botnet that was actually trying to log in through, I think it was StarCraft 2's editor, because there's login there, and they were trying to hit it over and over and over again. And they were logging in with the country and locale, or they were logging in with the language and locale code of ENUS, which is English United States. Now, Blizzard's clients all use lowercase EN, uppercase US. The bots were all using uppercase EN, uppercase US. We had them blocked for like 6 months. They had no idea what it was. It took them forever to figure out what it was we were catching them on, and it was that. Literally just because they uppercased EN. There was always something you can do where you're like, real traffic, real players cannot do that. And this was a very good example of a simple way of catching them, because real players would never have a client that has capital EN in the connection. It's very interesting shit, but like there's always something. You just got to be clever about it, right?
I would assume even beyond that, like you can hook in stuff that looks like keyboards to your system, so even kernel level anti-cheats can't tell if you have simulated keystrokes coming in. Plus, you can make plugins in WoW, so you could send the state of the world up to some server, have the server process, which can just be local, so it's still, on the order of a millisecond, and then your fake keyboard's just sending in inputs as if it's the real keyboard. It's like, it's probably undetectable if it's sufficiently, worthwhile as far as money goes for them to build something like that.
100%.
I don't know what the economics of that actually is. Is there actually even, because I remember in Lineage 2, okay, hey, I bought gold in Lineage 2, okay, guilty as charged. I was a youngster. Okay, I was a youngster. That game was completely tied to how much gold you got, which is effectively what level you got to. And so it was kind of an annoying game when it came to that. And I still remember that I bought gold on that. And then I thought back, I'm like, I wonder what like the actual economy is for these things. Like, is there a real one that actually is worthwhile? Like, are these people actually getting to the point where, it's worth that much, or is it kind of just me overinflating in my head?
It is worth a lot of money, and we'll get into that after this ad break. So you're wondering if the cartels are, if these groups jumped ahead, if these groups actually make money, right?
Yeah, I assume there's miniature money. I'm just not sure about like big time money.
Millions of dollars. It's a massive, massive syndicate, dude. So like most of the gold sellers that you see inside of video games are very, very few, very large corporations that operate on a global basis across every game you've ever heard of. It's not kids in their parents' basements. Basically what they do is they'll go to areas where, like, say the standard of living is quite low and the income is very, very low. You're talking like less than $1 a day kind of income. And they go, we're going to give you 20% more than any other job you can have in this entire area. And all you have to do is run these bots. And that's it. And they give them all the hardware. They give them everything. They just need manpower to go and run that shit. And they run it. And they make millions of dollars. It is insane because there's so many different groups that work in this. It's not one gigantic company. It's a bunch of different components, right? Think of it as system components. Like one of them is like, what we do is we go and pull a whole bunch of passwords off of known database leaks, and then we check to see how many of those accounts are actually used by Blizzard players. And then this other group goes and buys it from them. And then that group checks to see if any of those passwords actually work. And then another group buys that list of actually working passwords and gives it to people that then drain all the gold out of them if they have enough gold and sit on them if they don't. And the part that's really interesting about this is they also break into accounts against known passwords that actually work. And they try to find ways to get into these accounts. And if it doesn't have enough gold, you know what they do? They wait. And they just sit on it until it has enough gold where it is worth it based on whatever threshold they have to then drain the account, which is why it's important to have a two-factor on your account and change your password kind of regularly for any of that stuff. If you ever think that your account has been compromised, then you change your password. Blizzard puts out a thing, you change your password. But two-factor is God in this. Two-factor is the one way you will stop all of this shit from happening. It's very, very, very rare that Blizzard has anything that fuddles with the two-factor. Two-factor is king. Yeah, multi-factor is king. Bingo. So like, these organizations make a shitload of money. Yeah, what's up?
Does Blizzard have a log out of all devices button?
Oh, I don't know if they do.
Netflix has that, and I thought that was really useful because I'm like, oh, wait a second. I have this TV in Colorado. What's going on here, right? Yep. And then it's just like log out of everything.
They have a log out of all devices. Yeah, they do.
That seems like a very smart thing to do on somewhat of a regular kind of occasion, to be like, okay, wait a second. Do I recognize any of these devices, and should I log out of any of them?
You can actually see your recent login activity. You can select log out of all devices, and you can also unlink your Battle.net account from other platforms if you'd like to. So all of that is in there. That's all in your battle.net.com, right? Or blizzard.com in this case, I believe. So the thing that's really interesting about that, though, is Authenticator is now like a phone app. It used to be a physical token, but now it's actually a phone app for that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, no, the auth is the best defense you have. It will always be the best defense you have, and you should absolutely put that on your Battle.net account. If you haven't done that, you are 100% vulnerable. Blizzard will get knocked over. They have in the past. They many, many times. If you're using the same password as another database, you're even more vulnerable because it's just a matter of time with that. Put an auth on your account. Do it. Like, don't wait on that. You hate me and my voice? Nice. Well, you don't have to hear it anymore. Or actually, you do, but you won't be able to talk and chat about it. Unfortunately.
Oh, dang.
Always love that shit. First message, last message. Got him.
Always confused how people have. I just don't even have time in the day to think through those type of actions. Like I'm too busy to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go find someone and talk to them.
Yeah,
tell them something mean.
I always love it, dude. Why come here to hate? I don't know. It's like Call of the Void shit, man. Yeah, it always makes me laugh. Like none of that shit's bothersome. Like dude, I'm gonna be real with you. I grew up on 4chan, Something Awful forums. Got what else? YTMND, Newgrounds. Just like all kinds of weird places, all of it.
A lot of Newgrounds.
Like I don't give a shit if you come in Lively, exactly back when it was a thing. I don't give a shit if you come in here and bitch. Like whatever. Like it's like all right, man, very cool. You can complain about it again in the unban request. I'm sure that the mods will care. But yeah, outside of that, for like all of this botting stuff, dude, it makes bank. It makes millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars, effectively run by cartels that are just a syndicate of doing crime, doing this kind of stuff. And part of the reason why is back in the past, I don't know if the laws have changed for this, but in the past it was in China, if you are selling gold in a video game or stealing gold in a video game, it is not fraud. If it's real money, it's fraud. And fraud was punishable by death. Could be based on the crime. But in-game fraud was not a crime. And that was one of the biggest problems we had to deal with. The most interesting part about this, do you want to know the time of year where there's actually the least amount of in-game fraud like that? The least amount of account takeovers and the least amount of gold selling?
February, Chinese New Year?
It's Chinese New Year. Risk Team would literally take all of Chinese New Year off every year because it is the most common thing there. And now that's not saying something against the Chinese people. That is absolutely not something to say, be like, oh, the Chinese people, none of that shit. It is, that is a business. That is a valid business model for a lot of people there that are making very little money and are hired to do this job. And it is their job. So when it is a holiday, they are not doing that job. And that's it. And that's what that comes down to. And you have to understand that. You have to stop looking at it as like, oh, these guys are pieces of shit selling this gold. It is a business. That is a job. They're doing a job. And it is the best job they can have in their area. And when it is a holiday for Chinese New Year, they are not doing their job because they're on holiday. And that is wild to think about when you start changing your perspective on that. Yeah.
Well, you just got to remember that it's like if you are in a situation in which you can't even get close to, like, say, the median salary, and then someone comes by and just says, hey, run these bots. I mean, you have no really like some sort of ethical ground to be like, oh, well, wait a second.
Yep.
You're just like, oh, yeah, I'm just selling gold in a game. It doesn't matter to me, right? Like, I would assume that's the standard thought process.
Yep.
It's just like, whatever. It's just a game. Who cares, actually? Even though they may not realize people care, but to them, it's just like, whatever. And so it's just like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? I don't,
Yeah, I think there's even more interesting stuff in there as well because watching these bots evolve and the behaviors evolve, one of the things that people used to do all the time is they just send hate to gold sellers. They just be like, F you, F your mom, all this kind of stuff in messages back to them. People who run bots don't read those generally. It doesn't do anything. Now they have automated systems that will actually use the entire botnet to mass report your character. There have been people that have been banned because they've actually used hate speech against bots. And since they're using hate speech in the game, it is a violation of TOS, and their accounts have been banned because technically they are in violation. Do not put your account at risk just because you are mad at the guy who is selling gold. You will absolutely get banned. And it doesn't feel morally correct in that situation, but you are violating TOS by sending those messages. Do not do it. It's wild to watch, dude.
I think that's like a classic argument. You don't do something wrong to prevent something wrong, right? Like, don't, if it's against the rules, don't do that thing, right? There's probably a better way. And plus, ChatGPT probably makes this even worse because now you got all these bots that can respond in a way that actually sounds like a human, right? Like, it's just like, oh, this guy has said very mean messages to me. and it is making me feel frightened. And then it sends this nice, elaborate message that seems unique to the situation.
Let's see. You are probably ignoring me. No, I'm not ignoring you. There's 15,000 people on Twitch. There's another 2,000 on YouTube. Nobody's ignoring you. Don't be worried about that. But why are gambling companies able to ignore this stuff? Online gambling rolls a similar way. In my country, it is heavily watched by the government, but gamers getting ripped off via fraud gets a bit snot. They're not. Actually, you should really look into a whole bunch of people that actually rip off casinos. This happens all the time. There are people that build devices to go and break into casinos and actually break into the machines there. There are people that do things like counting cards. There's people that build custom things to be able to do it, rig the games in certain ways, and a lot of them get caught. Huge amount of them do. It's the same thing that people do when they're trying to rip off ATM machines. In fact, one time when I was at DEF CON, this dude literally had like a little dolly, wheeled an ATM machine onto the floor, and left it there. And it was a scam ATM machine. Apparently, he'd been doing it for months, and people went in there. It would skim a couple of dollars off of it every time. The dude just put in this scam ATM machine, and people would go and use it on the casino floor, and nobody did anything about it. But the guards at DEF CON noticed it, and they reported it up, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'd seen that a couple of times. We were trying to find a time where we could catch this dude, and they caught him finally at DEF CON, which was hilarious. And I was like, that's ridiculous, dude. So I was hearing the stories of that kind of stuff from the goons, because like they're the guys who are actually the guards at DEF CON. But yeah, this kind of shit happens, man. It just happens in ways that are not as bombastic. And with games, it's come to this forefront where everyone's like, it's only games is the problem. It's like, no, dude, this shit happens everywhere. Everywhere. Games is just a different, yeah, they're called goons. It doesn't mean the thing you think it means. It means like,
It's old-fashioned gooners, okay? These are long time
this
ago
is not
ones.
this is not the Zoomer gooners, right? It's a different kind. It means something else. It means something else.
It's
Not
Gen
like
X
goonbag,
gooners,
which is
okay.
in Australia, goonbag means like a boxed wine. It's the bag of boxed wine inside of the boxed wine. And then in Europe and the
that
United
does not
States,
translate well.
I know it means something completely different. It's a whole thing. And then the Goonies, the movie, is ruined now. So like, it's great, fantastic,
The goon bag.
insane shit. Yeah. But no, to be real with you, man, like this kind of fraud is always there. It is like that for gambling companies. It is like that for gaming companies. It is like that pretty much anywhere. You're always going to have.
It's like that with any of those transaction and money, right? Like name one thing, like Facebook Marketplace. How many of those things are just like scam things that they try to get people to buy or give you information to go take other stuff from you? My wife has dealt with this 100 times. Scamming is just a part of every part of life.
And it's funny too, because some people will be like, "Well, just turn off trade." Then they sell the accounts. It's the same shit. They literally just do the exact same thing again, but they'll do it with account trading. And the way that we know that is League of Legends. How many people realize that there are people out there that literally, as a job, their job is to boost League of Legends accounts by playing them really well? I used to know someone who did it. That was he made money on the side while he was going through college, just boosting people up to diamond. That's it. He'd be like, oh, I got to boost another guy up to diamond. I got to boost this guy up to diamond. I got to go and run this account up to platinum. And he'd get a certain amount of money for every one of those accounts. There are lots of people doing this shit, like an insane amount, which is why I always thought that the best League of Legends is Gold 1. Like it really is. It's the best League of Legends is that. And the reason why is because they're just good enough to play the game and they're really trying and they know how to be cohesive. But the moment they got into platinum, it was all the people who got boosted. It was rough, dude. It's actually awful.
Is it? Oh, so does that mean it was actually hard to get through platinum then, because you'd constantly play with people who really didn't earn the cohesiveness of gold or silver?
The meme in the community at the time was that platinum was basically second bronze, where like you get to platinum and it's just like, wow, everyone's shit again suddenly. And it was because so many people got boosted, so many people bought their accounts, because you'd want to get up to platinum because you get seasonal rewards if your account was platinum. So everyone boosted up to platinum, they'd pay money for it, and they're like, oh, I got my cool cosmetics for the season. And like that was it. Yeah, low diamond, platinum. It was awful. Same thing happens in CSGO. Same thing happens in anything with ranked games. So you have account trading, you have account selling, you have boosting, you have gold selling, you have account takeover for stealing gold. There's so many different ways of doing this. You've also got botting behavior to try and do a bunch of hunters to go and farm certain mobs and then loot it, right? Like there's so much shit that they do with this in order to pull it off. And it's going to be, it's just once you start looking into it, you can see that it is a massive set of moving parts. It is not a small piece. And so many people believe it's just why don't you just ban all the botters? Okay, why don't you get rid of all the crime? Like, it's just
that easy.
Wow. let's just solve world hunger. Right? Like it's the same kind of stupid ass statement that literally it shows that the person has no idea what they're talking about. You're like, okay, yeah, just do it. Just flip the switch, devs. It's like, no, dude, this is massive. There's so much.
There's actually a switch that does exist, and you're just lying, Thor. There's
Yeah,
a switch that says stop the hackers, and all you have to do is press it. Can you just press it for us?
Yeah, I refuse because I'm a greedy developer and I want to have the bots running for real money, even though it diminishes people's trust in the game, which reduces our overall income as developers. Man, maybe I should flip that switch, right? Nah.
This is a crazy long con you're doing. I know there's a
insane.
con at the end. It's just super long.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So part of that you could fix it with changing some level of incentives, right? So if you get rewards for being in diamond,
yeah,
then therefore you will have some level of this just by just having that as a thing. Why not make the rewards just if you play a certain amount of hours or something that is less likely to interrupt the game itself?
Because now what you get is what are called fermented accounts. You'll get an account that is a botting account that has to run for a certain number of hours, and then they sell it off, and they got millions of these, and they ferment them.
At least it's probably probably bronze hell then, at least, as opposed to ruining like the more competitive tiers of the game.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. You can't really take incentives away from those higher tiers because those are fun for the players. You don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face. You don't want to make it so that the game is less fun for the real people just because bots are being annoying. You have to find a good middle ground there where you let the real people keep doing stuff. Yeah, pickled accounts, fermented accounts, same shit. So what I would do, honestly, overall, is exactly what they're doing already, which is trying to find different methods of beating that cat and mouse game. The problem is Riot went down the route of kernel-level anti-cheat, which I personally don't agree with. I don't like kernel-level anti-cheat. I know that it's going to accelerate that cat versus mouse game. I know it's going to accelerate, the red versus blue on this. And it's eventually not going to be effective, but now you have given a company full access to all the memory of your machine. And that bothers the shit out of me. Like that
just because that thing could get compromised. I mean, that's a huge problem you can just obviously see.
Yeah.
And we know they're not necessarily written the best after that Call of Duty one where just ASCII string searched. What was it, like aimbot on? He just had to
and you're like, oh no, dude. Yeah, he literally it was literally you have a set of like assembly, right? And that assembly you can go and search it, but they were searching for strings, which is weird already. You should be searching for like specifically assembly lines, like certain usually 8 bytes in a row in assembly. But in this case, they did it by strings. And then you could send that message to another person, and when it entered their client, they would immediately get banned for cheating because it detected the string in memory, and they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't whitelist the user-generated content section. So because of that, you could just send it to him, and it was like, oh, that's in memory now. This guy's cheating. Banned.
I don't think you can generate. I'm not sure if you can technically whitelist user-generated content because that, whenever anything's stored on the heap, as part of security, you have all these sanitization tools where malloc won't malloc in one area.
Yeah.
Like there's like 1,000 different reasons why that could be difficult. But
nonetheless, you can still have memory spaces.
That happened.
Yeah, you can also have memory spaces, right? You can have sections of memory where like this is going to be this kind of a thing, this is going to be that, because you have memory that is the client's specific memory, and then you have memory that is not generally allocated. That not generally allocated memory is usually where they inject shit, and they call it a code cave. So that'll be in there, right? So these are types of methods, but they may have seen more advanced methods than the stuff that I've seen before. It's actually integrating with the rest of the client's memory in a way that is cohesive, and it's hiding quite well. We never got to see that kind of stuff, but that could exist now in the current space because everybody's evolved super hard. All kinds of different stuff with that. I do think that doing a string search is kind of weird, though. I do. I don't think that makes sense to me.
I mean, I get the idea. They're just like, hey, when you open up that bot, the program has, hey, welcome to aim shooter easy mode. And you're just like, oh, if we just find that string, we found the program that's running, because who would ever have that string in any other case ever for any reason?
Yeah. Yeah, it's super weird. No, it makes sense, though. But yeah, so outside of this all started because this guy was getting death threats, right? Because he was going and fighting the botters. He was doing the old school method. So back in the beginning of Blizzard, when they're in their first foray in fighting bots, was something very funny, because back then bots would just go one location to another location. They'd just move in a straight line. That's all they did. And their first method of catching bots was they actually just put a rock in the way. And all the bots would get stuck on it, and then a GM would actually teleport to each server to that location and just ban everyone who's running in place on it, which is hilarious, right? That's the beginning. That's the beginning of the cat and mouse game. Super funny, right? It was out in Burning Steps. Very funny shit, right? So with that in mind, you now have that evolving into this insane shit that we have today. Now, this guy was going around and killing bots in hardcore, which is funny. because now you've got bots that die and they don't get to come back. And he's getting a bunch of death threats from people, and they're sending really graphic shit, like telling me they're going to cut off his fingers and feed him to his family.
Yeah.
Like, insane shit, like really messed up, right? And he's quitting the bot hunting as a result. And it's turned into this weird flashpoint moment where everyone's blaming Blizzard for the situation. That doesn't make sense to me. Because at a certain point, I don't think that the company's fault is that. This is how this works already. Now that you guys have a general context for how these types of things function, yes, they should go after those bots, but they already are. They already have been. They've been banning these guys for years and years, and going after them for years, and even in some cases extraditing the people who were doing this in other countries so that they can litigate against them here. That happens all the time. Just people aren't privy to it. This is why I think Blizzard should be more communicative about the actions they're actually taking, what bots they're actually banning, how they're handling these situations, and what they're doing. Because otherwise, you have an echo chamber of people that just have negative views on the company, negative views on that team, and negative views about what they're doing. It's not helpful for anyone involved, and it gives a wrong impression to players that don't understand the process of actually beating these bots. And I feel for that dude that's getting all these terrible messages. He should not be getting that. And I wish he had ammunition to show what he was doing actually mattered, and show that Blizzard actually has his back. They need to communicate this shit, and they're just not. It's terrible to me.
Yeah, I can imagine even if Blizzard, did say, "Hey, we have your back. All these things are really, really great." I would imagine he would still not want to do it, just because he's just some dude, right? He's not, he's not some professional guy making a ton of money off this situation. It's not his livelihood. He's just getting death threats and pictures of his house sent to him, and like just crazy stuff.
It's awful.
And it's just some guy, making some pretty obvious choices in how he's killing these people. For those that didn't know how he does it, he effectively gets it to aggro like a singular bear after one of the bots, and the bots would fight it.
Oh, he's not quitting.
And
Chad
then
is
he
saying
did
he's
it.
not quitting.
Okay, well, his last message said he was quitting, so I've only seen his last one. And then he'd get like 2 or 3 of these NPCs after him, and the bot just doesn't run away, which is obvious. Like any of us would know, okay, it's time to run away right away. We've been overwhelmed, and they just keep sitting there fighting. And so then he's like, okay, we found a bot, and then he'd just get more, and they just get overwhelmed by NPCs.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if he continues to do it. Just because I don't understand the incentive at that point, just because the risk is so high, and a lot of people are going to stand on some stupid moral ground being like, oh, he should definitely keep doing it. It's like, yeah, you're not the one getting death threats, my friend. Like it's a much different world when you get the pictures of your own house.
Yeah, it's a very different thing, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. Also, it's a different thing when you get swatted. It's a different thing when people come after you in real life. Like, it's a different thing, right? Especially if you've got family, if you've got friends, and they go after them, because if they can't get to you, they do go after other people. They try to find a way to get to you, and like that's a really shitty thing when you're a single person instead of a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And dude does not need to be in that position. Is it cool that he's fighting them? Yes. But to push him forward as some savior that has to be doing it as the last bastion of defense, not only doesn't make sense, it's unfair to him. It's cool that he's doing this, but Blizzard should be more communicative to show you that it's not just him fighting, and they're not doing that. I think that is a failure on Blizzard on their part to not communicate that. Legitimately so. Yeah,
I mean, it would be really good if Blizzard did do like, hey, we've added X new methods, not telling what the methods are, obviously, because you don't want to give away the secret, just to at least be like, we've added new things to help us track bots even more, and we've seen this percentage increase in caught cases that we would not have caught last month. Something that shows, like, hey, we're making the fight, we're making progress, but we keep finding new ways in which they're breaking it, and we have to keep on catching up. Like, at least give people something. I think that would actually help. Yep. Obviously, there will always be people saying that it's impossible. Why doesn't Blizzard just turn it off? Just hit that switch already. But it's just...
to be real with you, I do like vigilantism fighting bots. I know people may not find that to be popular, but I enjoy it. And that's something that I do. But I do it because I know the risk, and I really enjoy doing it. Like back when we played New World, we had a bunch of bots that were actually running from town to town doing the PvP quests because it was the best way to make currency. They just go back and forth doing this over and over. And it was actually pushing nodes to war because they were running these back and forth between the two factions, like between two opposing factions doing this so they can make gold. And what we ended up doing is the server was like, this is so annoying. We're sick of these bots starting wars. So we actually made all of our tents, because you could just put up a tent in that game. We made a wall of tents, and they all got stuck on them, and then we kill them. We killed hundreds of bots until they stopped. It was hilarious. We made like a server party out of it. Everyone came out, like all the factions that were against each other, they're all hanging out and having fun, killing these bots, and it was like an awesome time, right? So you can do these types of things where you fight back for your server in ways that you can go and fight, right? And and it makes sense. But that was a situation where we could win. You can't really win when it's a million hunters sitting inside of instance dungeons doing it for 20 hours a day. And that's the kind of level that Blizzard is fighting this stuff at, where there's so many of these accounts, so many different ways of tracking them and trying to fight against these, that one person isn't going to be able to do that. But he is being effective in hardcore WoW. He's found a way to do it where he is effective to the point that it's pissed them off. And even if his message is very difficult, and he's dealing with a difficult time for it, he's inspiring other people to do it as well, which could actually have real change. I still think Blizzard should back everyone up and be like, here's what we've done too. Just communicate. I know you're working on it, Blizzard. I know you are. I've worked with the teams that do it. I've worked with Risk. We worked together for years. Tell them. Get one of the execs to sign off on this shit to tell them what you guys get to do. And if you can put out a monthly report like that, you will gain so much positivity from the community by doing it. It would blow your mind. At first, they're not going to believe you. But if you're consistent with it and you show the numbers and you show exactly what's going on, it's going to work. You have to communicate this stuff. And I'm blown away that Blizzard still doesn't do this, man.
Yeah, I think if I were to put myself in their shoes, and just really any company, I think largely people avoid talking about the things that they aren't doing well. And by well, I mean there's any negative press about it, especially publicly traded companies, because they don't want that type of information out. At least that's the perception, that they're going to have some sort of, they're going to hurt the stock price. They're going to be doing X, Y, Z to say it's actually negative. I don't actually think that's the case personally, but this is one of those, I think obvious ones where someone's motivated with a very linear type of thinking, like, oh, hey, we're public. We want only good press. This isn't good press. Therefore, no.
Yeah.
They can't. They don't see the obvious win that is right in front of them.
I think it's kind of interesting, too. Someone in chat said, why don't they just sue them? They do. In fact, Blizzard wins those lawsuits quite a lot. Back in, I think it was 2017, they won an $8.5 million lawsuit against Bossland, which was a German company, specifically a company that just makes cheats for games. They won that lawsuit. It's $8.5 million. Tried to bankrupt them. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it did bankrupt them. Trashed them. I'd have to go and look up to see what the outcome of that was. But yeah, they do this. Blizzard sues for this shit all the time. But it doesn't really get popularized. No one really talks about it. Sue the player? Ah, yes. Let me sue the individual player that is... No, that doesn't work that way. It's a business, remember? Not a single person. It's not some dude in their mom's basement. It's a massive company. And that's the thing, is this was a legitimate company operating out of Germany that was doing this stuff, and they got owned. They lost. So, yeah. I think the biggest thing you can do as a player is report that shit. And everyone and their mom is going to be like, Blizzard doesn't read the reports. Bullshit. And I say bullshit, and I say that with distinction, because I worked there for 7 years. I didn't get this. I didn't get this 5-year sword working it there by bullshitting about actually reading those goddamn reports. Send in bug reports. Send in bot reports. They listen to you. You may not see it because they don't communicate it, but they listen. I wish they were able to tell you how much they listen. They just don't.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, especially, I would imagine that even more so, a singular person that has 2 distinct reports against them gets significantly fast-tracked, because that's so unusual probably as it is. And then you get 3 distinct reports. Like, I'm sure they have an entire leveling system that ensures things get fast-paced, moved up.
Yeah.
It's just, it would be shocking not to see all these things kind of come into place.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems they had is there's a balance between that. Like, how do you manage automatic report, right? Because they used to have, I don't know if they still have this problem. I'd have to look into it, because there's going to be claims on both sides. But they used to have a problem where, like, that raid team is going to progress faster than us. Let's mass report their main tank. And the dude would actually get banned for like 24 hours before they investigated.
Yeah.
Same thing in RBGs. Yeah, mass reporting is really scary if you have any automated systems there. So you have to have manual process for that. And it's just, with a game with millions of players, that turns into a shit show. Winky says it's still an issue, so it likely is. Winky knows. Winky's on the up and up on all this stuff. But yeah, no, it's always a really difficult problem with that, because now you need the manpower for it, but also you need to have at least some automation. But where's the limit on that? And like, even if you have a person at the end of the road for banning or not banning the account, how informed is that person? Can they see the whole picture? And how do you do that millions of times, right? It's such a difficult task. It's massively, and at scale, it becomes more difficult. We've got ads in a moment, by the way. So we're going to pause for the ads. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, I think this is a good stopping point anyways. I think I feel like we got the topic all good.
We can talk about the honey scam. That's a big deal.
The honey scam. That's kind of crazy, by the way, the honey
So
scam.
I've looked into this pretty heavily. The honey scam thing is insane, actually. So have you looked into this at all?
I've only seen the first half. I know that they do something with coupon prices that aren't quite. I don't understand that aspect.
So let me
but I do
explain.
understand the affiliate link side. Yeah,
So
what's the other side?
basically what Honey is a browser add-on that you add in that's supposed to find coupons for you. Now, it states that it pulls all these coupons from the general internet, and it uses these to find you the best possible price. This is a bold-faced lie. Also, it does really, really worse stuff. So the first thing that it does is if you click on a link, an affiliate link for a content creator gives them money if you do a transaction. As the last clicker of that person's going to get the money, whether it's like a VPN service or like shoes or whatever it's going to be. Now, what Honey does is when you go to click that, it goes, hey, let me check to see if you've got a coupon. And let's say it finds a coupon. It goes, that click was actually mine. The content creator gets $0 now, and Honey pockets the money. Now, it does something even worse than this as it goes forward. Let's say it doesn't find a discount. It still does that. Even if it doesn't find a discount. Let's go even further than that. It doesn't actually have all of the coupons online, just the ones that are approved from partners, where it partners with different companies. Let's go even further than this. It's just going to keep getting worse. Just going to keep getting worse. It incentivizes users to use this by giving them a tiny discount. In one case, the guy was actually putting together a video where he's like, hey, I went and tried this with Nord, right? And I got a $35, it was like a $35 commission. And then he did it through Honey, and he got a $0 commission through it. But guess how much money Honey actually gave the user as a discount? It was less than $1. So in that case, Honey pockets $34 of commission fee. The user feels like they got a deal, and the content creator gets $0. Shit is insane.
And then it's incentivized by, then I would assume there is some incentivization for Nord to want Honey to say they have these discounts, because that way Nord also doesn't have as big of a drop in their initial sale or whatever their bulk sale is for.
So now what you get is you basically get this entire arrangement where Honey is pocketing shitloads of money across the entire internet. Content creators are completely getting ripped off, and companies have to work with them or they get owned. Now you have a huge problem, right? And the worst part is Honey's owned by PayPal.
Yeah, I know. The PayPal part was really surprising. You think that they would have known not to do that, because that sounds really sleazy. Especially we didn't even find a coupon, but that's still our affiliate now. That one is that. I cannot believe that they do that. And still, there's just something so surprising that I'm sure it's in the terms of service, and I'm sure somehow this does not fall into it's not actually a legal side of things. But the fact that they can update affiliate codes at the last mile like that, I cannot believe that is not somehow illegal.
Yeah, I think the thing that's really interesting to me about this is they pushed affiliate marketing with content creator marketing so heavily, and all those content creators were getting paid in the upfront, right, by this deal, while losing all of that money in all their affiliate marketing. They were literally pushing their own demise. When Honey first came out of the scene, people asked me if I used it because everyone started using it. And I was like, I'm not using that shit. People asked me why, and I was like, their business model doesn't make sense. I couldn't tell how they made money. I was like, there's no way this makes money. The only thing I can think of is that they have some kind of a deal with these other companies to produce those coupons in the first place. But their claim was that coupons were actually harvested from the internet. And they had all the coupons from the internet. I was like, so they don't have backroom deals with this? How are they making money? And I walked away from it because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's the same way that I feel about Kick. Kick's business model doesn't make sense without outside funding. Honey's business model didn't make sense without outside funding. Little did I know, the way that Honey was actually making money was ripping off every content creator on the internet. That's insane. It is so much worse than I thought it was, but I realized it didn't make sense in the beginning. And I'm glad I didn't touch it, because that shit, it's wild. This has turned out so negative, so insane, and so bad for our entire industry. It's beyond what I thought it could ever be.
Shocked that I can't. I just only imagine there's some class action lawsuit right now being formed, because there is just no way that this can't, because effectively they sold a Faustian bargain. Like, it's like the classic devil bargain right there, where it's just like, hey, here's something good. Look, we're just good people, and then they just steal from those exact people. That just it's mind blowing that exists.
The worst part is about this too is like, how do you even track how much money they've stolen from people? Because what you have to go back on is, did they even record what the original affiliate link was? And my
Oh,
guess
no,
is
absolutely not.
no, dude. So like, how are you going to track that back? Probably didn't. There's no way.
My guess is they can't actually record it because they open that hidden window. So
Yep.
whenever you go to do the checkout, they actually just open a hidden window to get you to go through the like UMT or whatever the tracking URL parameters are to set their honey code. So they probably do know tracking. My guess is you'd actually have to go to you'd have to audit each one of these businesses and see how many of them are honey and then what percentage of those were stolen.
Yep. And
Like,
I think the other thing too is we noticed the decline in affiliate marketing over the last few years. I'm not really surprised now, right? Like affiliate marketing isn't what it was before. A lot of people moved away from doing that, even though it used to make a shitload of money, and then it suddenly stopped making as much money. I'm waiting to find out if honey wasn't the only one. I think that's one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about. How many others were doing this exact same business model that were smaller that no one knows about yet? Because like,
here's the thing that people don't know: browser extensions, they get the right to read every page at all time. So every single page you're on, they get to read all the contents and everything. So how many of these browser extensions that people have are just monitoring and just hitting hidden windows and effectively updating who gets the sale from this? It's like, oh yeah, it's just a really nice browser extension, and boom, they're just taking money.
yep. And like that's the thing I'm waiting to find out, dude, is like how many of these are just doing this shit on the back end that we don't know about, and it's all going to be about honey, and they're going to be like, wow, it's defeated, and suddenly affiliate marketing is still dog shit. And it'll be because there's other coupon apps here like this, and it's I am interested to find out how doomed this actually gets, because we just don't know yet.
My guess is that affiliate marketing is dead. It's just like it can't go forward because of this type of stuff. Because why there will be other companies that just do it. And if other companies haven't thought about it, they now just thought about it.
Yep.
Like it's doomed either way.
Yeah. Wait, is Twitch affiliate a bad road to go down too? No, that's a very different thing, bud. Affiliate marketing is not the same as affiliate Twitch. So affiliate on Twitch is like having a title, and that title gives you certain things like monetization on your channel. Affiliate marketing is I have a little code, and when you click on this, I get a little bit of money if you buy a product through it. Nothing to do with Twitch. Yeah, very, very different. A lot of people don't know. That you guys are all laughing, but they don't know. Affiliate is just a general term. Is you're engaged in some kind of a business relationship with that company in some way. Yeah.
The honey, I guess my only question is, what was the long game on honey? And especially on something like PayPal, where you have to be super careful because they have so many rules around PayPal. Like, they're such a highly watched organization due to the fact that they handle a bunch of money. So, like, why even risk such a thing as this? I'm just generally confused at the long-term play, because I can't imagine it's like the juice is going to be worth the squeeze once it comes out.
Yeah. No, I think the amazing thing about all this stuff, man, is the fact that it took this long to come out, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you look back, so have you seen the stuff with Linus Tech Tips with this?
I've only seen the original video. Charlie referenced it in one of his videos, and I went through that one.
So the thing that's really interesting about this is they made a lot of shit, like a lot of money. Because if you're talking about a single NordVPN contract there, right? That's like $35 is what they showed in the video. But the other thing they showed is that Linus Tech Tips actually used to have a deal with them, and with Honey, and ended the deal, and specifically said they ended the deal because they didn't like the way they were doing business around the affiliate links and how they were working. Which means some content creators knew about this, and it just didn't spread from there. Yeah. So that was really interesting, where like they kind of fired up a little bit of a flare, and everyone went, oh, that's interesting. It's kind of walked away. Like, and you say LTT was so disappointing. Why didn't they make that public? They probably couldn't. Like, you don't know what their contract was with them. You don't know what their agreement was. We don't know if there was a non-disparity clause. We don't know if there was any type of, like, you can't talk about this shit. We don't know. So don't go and blame them for this. The information that came out was them talking about the stuff that they were not comfortable with. I don't know how deep that goes. Yeah. But that's
I would generally assume that if someone that makes YouTube videos and talks about tech and talks about all these things just goes, oh, we're just done. Like, there's probably something behind the scenes that they just aren't allowed to talk about, or else it's going to be way more costly for them.
Yeah, talking about this whole thing, I'm going to do this Mega Lag Honey. I want to give you guys Mega Lag's video. So Mega Lag is actually awesome. Let me see if I can find his original video, because everyone is aping his video right now, which is just dumb, dude. I'm going to give you guys his actual video. because it's very, very good, and you should watch this, and it's 23 minutes long, and it's going to inform the shit out of you. But I'm mostly interested in where this goes and how many other companies actually have been doing this. And I don't know the answer to that right now, which makes this interesting. Yeah, it's part 1 of 3, by the way. He's actually going to be releasing more videos of this and digging into this even deeper as we go forward.
Yeah, it may actually be worse than we think it is.
Yeah, the next one looks like he's got a lot of interviews lined up with people where he's talking to people about the situation. He's interviewing companies and things. And there's probably going to be a lot of backroom deal shady shit that was happening on top of this. Like a little bit of work with us or we're going to rip you off with our app, right? That kind of thing is what it looks like. It looks like it's going that direction, but I want to wait and see. You know, I think that's kind of interesting as hell. And to be real with you, I hope when this is over, Honey eats shit because, like, damn, you ripped off everybody, and I hope nobody ever works with you again. It's garbage.
Not only that,
trash.
but I hope that all the companies that use this form of racketeering also get destroyed. Because how much do you want to bet? There's a whole slew of companies that made some sort of. I mean, I'm spitballing here, so this is not factual, but they made some sort of agreement so that when you follow these links, the proper price they want advertised will be there with some sort of honey, like, hey, found this discount, but it's not even a discount. Like they're just actually building in racketeering to save money and pay honey to do like misrepresented rates.
Yep. I'm wondering if there's any laws that were actually broken outside of just being shitty business behavior. And if there are, how far does that go? Let's find out.
Yeah.
Right? So like I'm gonna kind of pay attention to this story pretty heavily. I'm gonna keep watching videos from Megalag. I encourage you guys to do the same. Watch Megalag. This is fantastic. Really good research. Great thing to blow out of the water and tell everybody about it. And I'm interested to see where it goes. His video's already got 10.5 million views in 5 days. Dude's kicking ass, and he should be because he's done a lot. That's
a lot of views.
He's done a lot of good here. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, I can't believe. You are right though. I'm surprised no one's kind of figured this out.
Yeah.
That it hasn't been already blown out of the water.
To be honest with you, it makes me want to do like because I have that whole background, like all my background in security. What I want to do going forward is if I ever smell something like that again, because that smelled in the beginning. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Anytime I smell something, I've been calling it out ever since. Like when I saw this shit with Kick and I was like, no, this doesn't make any goddamn sense. And I talked about it endlessly, right? For like a year, talked about it. It's like, this is bullshit, right? Anytime I see that from then on, I'm just going to call it out. Because like that's the biggest, I was like, this smells. There's something about this smells. This is why. Let's go dig into it, find out why. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, Kick seems very, very obvious. Gamba.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like, hey, it's a loss leader for get kids addicted early. Gamba.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It makes the most sense. And a lot of people are like, no, they make money off of subs. No, they take 5% of a sub, which only covers the actual transaction fees on that.
It might not even cover the full transaction fee.
Yeah, it doesn't. Exactly. And even worse than that,
a hard 27-cent fee or whatever it is.
They don't run ads. They don't have any bits. They don't have any other purchasables. So your income for the platform is 0. You make money outside. That's how that works. Like,
it can't be that hard.
Yeah, no.
And Amazon's not giving them a sweetheart deal on that streaming.
No.
Amazon's like, you know what? We need good money for this competitor. Like Amazon probably can't turn them off because then Amazon would get hit with monopoly charges.
Yep.
So they probably have to let Kick go, but they probably give them like not a good deal. So it's costing them $100,000 an hour to operate. But you know what that means? It means their margin is literally that big.
I think they're probably giving them the same rate that they are for Twitch. And if they weren't, they'd probably be in legal trouble with that. That would make the most sense to me because then you could still run into that same deal. It's like, oh, it's monopoly shit. A lot of people don't realize that Twitch, when Twitch was bought, they turned Twitch, their back end, the back end for all the video transfer, into a product on Amazon site called Amazon IVS. It's interactive video service, I think it is. So let me see.
Yeah, I think
Amazon
you're right.
IVS. There we go. Interactive video service. You can actually rent this. You can make your own Twitch. There you go. Yeah, it's real. They own Twitch though? Yes, they do. Amazon owns Twitch and then rents out the back end as a service. They made their own thing called Amazon IVS. And you know who buys that? Who rents it? Go to any Kick stream, hit F12, go to the network tab and tell me who it is. Oh, look, it's Amazon IVS. Kick is literally Twitch.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. It's very funny. Yeah. It's exactly the same. So they both platforms have the same service from Amazon. Yeah. People don't realize that. It's very funny shit. Yep.
Crazy.
I love it.
Netflix too? No, Netflix doesn't run off of IVS.
No, they do their own shit.
Yeah, they've been practicing. They've been practicing very hard at delivering live video.
You would know something about that. You used to work at Netflix, by the way.
Yeah, I was in the game department actually at the end.
Yeah. Did you see
Yeah.
Pi recently? So Pi is related to honey in some way. I don't know anything about that side of the story. I'd like to look into it because I don't know anything about. Do you know anything about this Pi?
No, people keep mentioning pie related to honey. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
That
that's
side,
side I
so.
didn't have time to look into. I looked into everything else for like all the honey side stuff, and I was quite astounded by it, to be honest with you. It's made by honey. What is pie? What is this? Honey pie.
That sounds like it's gonna be a trap. That's a trap.
It sounds like a yeah, it does. It's an ad blocker. Honey pie ad blocker.
Oh. I'm glad that honey also does ad blocking because screw those people also making content trying to get money off of ads. Let's get them both ways. Let's take their affiliate links and make sure they can't show ads.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Pi is the worst ads too? How does that even work? Pi is an ad blocker that substitutes their own. Oh, that is devious. It blocks external ads and then uses its own ads.
Oh, what?
Ooh.
Why would you install
How does
ads?
How does that work?
Oh my gosh.
Why would you? So here's the thing. Is that a browser extension? What the hell is that? They pay you to do it? Oh, shit. It's the same thing all over again. So if you're running advertisements as a website, they block those advertisements, run their own advertisements, and then pay the user in some kind of a currency? It's the same shit. It's going to rip off every website on the internet. God damn it, dude.
Damn. So, honey just really is all about finding that gray area of being as fraudulent as possible without potentially breaking laws. Because how is that? How is that like? How does something like TechCrunch, right? TechCrunch, 404 Media, any of these these magazine websites? I mean, they make all of their money off of advertisement.
So
how is that not some form of fraud?
Dude, I'm looking at their mission. They're like, we're on a mission to rebuild the internet with people in control. This starts with rebooting the economic engine that powers the internet. Today, the largest tech companies make over $100 billion every year, auctioning off your attention to the highest bidder. So they're trying to make it out like they're trying to make it out like we're on your side. We're going to give some of that money to you. We're going to block their ads and we're going to run our own. Like they're making it out like they're the Robin Hood in this situation to trick you into running this service that is actually shitting on all these websites. That's insane. If you're going to block ads, just block ads. Like that's nuts to me, man.
The crazier behavior is that they're, remember when Elon Musk said that we're sick of these billionaire companies making video games, therefore I'm going to start a video game company. Remember that one? It's
it pissed me off. Yeah.
You say a statement and then you immediately put yourself into that bucket and shit on it. That's Honey. Like Honey's like these $billion marketing companies.
Yeah, it says a message.
Ads. Let's get rid of them by being a $1 billion company doing ads. You're like, what?
Yeah. It says a message from Pi founder Ryan Hudson, who originally created Honey.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's the same. What a wild ass thing. And you know what's funny about it? My guess, it makes me wonder, do they think they're the villain? Or do they think like they're actually doing good? Because no one ever thinks they're the villain. They never do.
Well, I mean,
I'm wondering if he actually feels like, yeah, we're going to stick it to those actual advertisers, give money back to the people. In reality, like you're destroying the internet. The internet runs on ads now. If you take that away, it will collapse. That's how it sucks. Ads suck complete ass, but if you take it away, everything goes away right now because there's no other business model that works in the current economy for this. There's not even anything to pivot to. It's dead, right? Like that's, what are you going to do? Everything's going to be Wikipedia, be like, please give me $5. Like every year they just come, please, Wikipedia will go away. Give me $5, please. Like that'll be every website if you get away from advertisement right now because there's no alternative. There's just not.
Yeah.
So like, then let it die. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to let it die. I kind of like the internet, right? I'd like to have a different business model because I also don't like ads. I'm not really a fan of that, which is why I turn ads into stuff that doesn't suck ass on the stream by doing things like pausing the stream during ads or running our entire ferret rescue off of ads where you just watch the stream and you save animals' lives because of ads, right? Because I realize that ads aren't going away right now. And if you do shit like this, what are you doing? You know what you're doing? You're getting cents on the dollar that they're making for running ads. You know what Twitch does for us for ads? We get 55%. They get 45%. You're getting
only if you run
off.
a certain percent.
Yeah.
Only if you run a certain percent.
You need to do 3 minutes an hour, which you should always do 3 minutes an hour because why would you not? at that point.
Yeah.
Because you get 30% otherwise.
Yeah, because I think it's like 70-30 or something like that if you don't. So it's like way worse. So it's like run it or else.
Yeah,
so just run
it. Not only that, but you get pre-rolls otherwise. You don't want pre-rolls. Nobody wants pre-rolls.
No one wants
pre-rolls. Suck. So like, to be real with you, ads can be used for a really good thing if you do it right. Get that bag? I mean, that's the point of that, right? Is I run ads, but you guys understand why I'm running ads. It lets me do these things. It lets me pay the moderators. It lets me run a ferret rescue. Like, teaching people what the ads are doing and how beneficial that is part of it. There are people, like, if you go over the ferret stream, when the ads run, you know what you get? You get people cheering on ads in chat. When have you ever seen someone cheer for ads? And they do that because they know that it's actually doing something good. It's doing something beneficial. It is helping animals do that. That is wild to see. And it's really about that. It's about communicating, hey, this is what it's doing. And instead, you get this company that's like, I'll give you a couple of cents while I pocket dollars. I'm on your side. Dog shit behavior. Completely dog shit behavior. I think that's awful. And I think it's really disingenuous to the actual people that are using it.
Not only that, but like you and the Ferret Rescue operate off of ads in this capacity, which means that whenever you go to any website that's offering ads, you must understand they're doing the exact same thing. If they don't have a charge option and they're not producing the ads themselves, they live off the ads themselves. Like that's the options. There's not very many of them. And so it's like, that's why I actually don't do an ad blocker, because if I hypocritically go, oh, hey, I make part of my living off of ads, I feel bad going to other people and be like, nah, you don't get that. Not from me. That's annoying. It's just like, well, dang it. No, if I think it's, if it helps me, I can't do it to other people. So Honey doing this feels just really wrong.
I don't run an ad blocker on YouTube. I don't run ad blocker on Twitch because I have Turbo, right? So people are getting money from Turbo anyway.
I buy premium. Yeah.
I run an ad blocker when I'm running random shit on the internet, like random websites, because the thing I got sick of was pop under ads. And that has become super, super common. A pop under ad is when you go to the page, another page will show up underneath your browser. And it's just there doing a thing. And then when you close your browser, it's just bunch of goddamn pages everywhere. I got sick of that shit. So I absolutely run an ad blocker in those situations when I'm just like browsing the net, right?
Oh, I'm not even sure if that's, I've never seen one of those, so I don't know what that is, but that does sound annoying.
They're awful. Yeah, they're super, autoplay ads, any of that kind of shit. And what I'll do is I just have ad blocker running for those, and I don't run it for YouTube because I don't want to rip off the content creators, and I don't run it for Twitch, and I don't want to rip off the content creators. But when it's like a page with like 50 ads on it, and it's like I think the worst part about it is you go to click on something, and then the ad loads, and you click on something else. You're like, God damn it. And then the page reloads. Because it shifted. Like all the CSS shifted as the JavaScript loaded in. You're like, God damn it. Yeah.
There's nothing I hate more than that, the shifting of CSS. All right, so this is the old Wayback Machine for Honey. Or for Pi, shall I say.
Link it.
Someone is linking. Yeah, hold on.
Because I can't go to Discord because it's on a video right now.
It would go very negative if you did. People would see all that ligma coming through.
It's a lot of ligma. Reddit ads are out of control. They look just like comments. I've heard that. I don't use Reddit. I find Reddit to be insufferable. So just don't go there.
Yeah, I generally just try to stay away from Reddit. Or Hacker News.
Yeah. Not a fan of Reddit. Not a fan. I find that a lot of times Reddit just ends up being a one-upmanship contest for like who's going to tell the weirdest meme. In like a way that is like, I want karma. No, I want karma. No, I want karma. This URL is not working for me.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. You can see it with mine. Just some sort of blocking going on effectively of... Apparently it has some citation way down that... Made in Los Angeles by the founding team that built Honey. Which is at the very bottom of this. So apparently they've taken that last little bit out.
Oh, there we go. Pi.org. What date did they take that bit out?
It looks like this is not that long ago.
And when was this? Like what is the phrase that was removed?
12/15. It looks like they took it out right when that big video was made. At the very, very bottom says made in Los Angeles by the founding team that built Honey. Apparently they're taking that out now.
Oh, they straight up did.
Yeah, it's not down there. It just says proudly built in Los Angeles. And that was changed on the 15th, which my assumption is exposing Honey was right in that same region. So they must have known this was coming because they just took it out a couple days before this video.
So bottom of the page, it says made in Los Angeles by the founding team that built Honey with a little palm tree. And now it says proudly built in Los Angeles. So they were like, oh, shit.
All of a sudden, way more proud of Los Angeles. So let's just go with that one.
Better not have that on there. Better remove that shit.
I'm just surprised. Okay, so the founding team, they have to just realize. Okay, so my opinion is that the founding team knows they're baddies. They just know that they've just found ways to effectively pull on people's desire for money for them to be able to make more money, and they don't care who they take it from. Because they have to know that when you update affiliate links, you are taking from somebody. They have to know when you block ads and then give new ads, you are taking from somebody.
But yeah, I think this is a really wild ass thing to watch. I think this is kind of, you guys are seeing a little bit of like the 1% of the scum of the internet here. Always remember one thing, no matter what it is on the internet, if you cannot understand how that company makes money, it smells. If you don't understand how it makes money, it smells. I make money from you guys. I make money from sponsorships. I make money from advertisements. I make money from merchandise. I use that to pay all of our employees and to run a ferret rescue. That is where all that shit goes. Like, you know damn well where everything comes from, and I make that transparent specifically because if I didn't, you get shit like this. It's really gross. It's honestly gross.
Yeah. And it's also very obvious. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be very hard to figure out how a streamer makes money, but it should be a lot more hard. Like, if you look at a company, there's you don't understand business. Like, why is something worth money? Fine. Maybe then you can learn about it. You know, if it looks suspicious, maybe learn about how a business model works. But then if you still can't figure it out, you're probably the product. Yep. And there might be theft as well.
Yep. You said, do you ever spend anything for yourself for like your birthday or anything? Nope. The only time I spend stuff on myself anymore is when I'm buying stuff to keep streaming or to do it better or to do it in a way that is more fun, I think. I haven't really bought myself anything outside of that. The only games I buy anymore are ones I play on stream with you guys. Yeah. That's kind of how it goes. Yeah.
I think that just happens when you reach the, when you're elder millennial at this state. The upper 30s, you go, I don't want stuff anymore.
You know what? There are things I buy for myself. The last thing I bought for myself is these D&D books. But that was like a year ago. And it was like $20. So it's not very much. They were 80% off at Target. It was great. Yeah. You buying a pre-built PC or building yourself? I've got my NVMe's right here. I'm just waiting for the rest of the parts, man. Yeah. Soon. 2 days. 2 days and I don't have to deal with Intel anymore. Hell.
Nice. Oh, yeah. You got hit with the Generation 14, right? 13, 14 curse.
Yep. Second time I've had this happen. 13,900K the first time, 14,900K the second time. It's a goddamn mess.
That hurts.
Sucks, man.
AMD, they have some good string processing. So if you're ever building C++, it actually, for whatever reason, seems to build faster. As far as like all my experiences, AMD has done better at compiling the C++. And it may just be because I have skill issues, but it just always seems to be better.
I'm actually doing a 7950 X3D for mine. So Ryzen 9 7950 X3D. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's really, really good for both graphical stuff because we're doing gaming and streaming, and then also for other stuff because I'm compiling, doing everything else that goes on it too. So it should be a good like multi-use kind of chip, which is nice. It's a really nice one. That will be a monster. Bingo. Yeah, that's the idea for it. And I could have gone with the newer ones, but they were less processing power overall, like by about a third. So it's kind of wild for that. Intel is slightly faster at
battery life, or
sure,
less power, whatever. Oh, there probably was some sort of other motivation that's going on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is Brazil a vacation or will you be IRL streaming? We're actually going to be streaming at, the idea is we're going to go in end of April, and we're going to be streaming at the Brazil Gamescom because we want to go there and showcase a bunch of indies. And like, I want to talk to Selbit when we're out there because Selbit's a good friend of mine, and talk to Cordas Antigas, who's a good buddy of mine as well, and meet a lot of people in there, and then do street food and just like eat stuff. And I talked to Selbit about it. He was like, do you want to do fine dining or do you want to do street food? And I didn't even hesitate. I was like, street food, 100% street food. I'm doing that. And he was like, my man, right? And he's like, I'll show you all the places where you're not going to get sick. And I was like, cool. Primogen's coming. Primogen's going to join.
Sao Paulo also has a really great Japanese food too. Second largest Japanese population in the world exists in Brazil.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sao Paulo.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so after World War II, there was a huge migration of Japanese over to Brazil. And so I believe it's the second largest group.
Did not know that, actually. That's freaking rad.
I had the best sushi I've ever had in my lifetime in Brazil.
That's amazing. That's freaking rad. Yeah, so, hell, that's even more exciting, actually. So, The people are going to go. It's going to be me, Primogen, Esfand. We're all going to go together, which is going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to all set it up. Should be the end of April and then go. And Kronos is coming as well. Kronos wants to go.
The guy with the orange head's coming.
Yeah, guy with the orange head.
Nice.
We'll be able to tell that joke to Esfand and ruin him as well. Actually, we
It'll be so good.
I don't know if we did.
I don't think he does not know it. He does not know it.
Yeah, don't get Esfand killed. I already had to tell him, like, we don't want to, like, walk around like Rio with a whole streaming kit out. Like, you're gonna die that way. Don't do that. It's like a very
Brazil,
and he was like,
grand attached to my back.
he was like, I don't understand. I was like, Esfand, it's
here.
I'd explained to him, I was like, Esfand, it's a PvP enabled zone. Like, we don't do that. So it's like, God damn it, dude. But like, no, we're gonna go around Gamescom and like and stream all that kind of stuff and take a lot of video and put a bunch of stuff out because I think it should be quite cool. Yeah. I'm very excited.
That
for
sounds
it.
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
I love
I'm very
Brazil.
excited to go to Brazil twice too. Like, so I'm just so pumped.
I love Brazil, and I love the Brazilian people, and I love Brazilian food. And I downloaded the Green Bird onto my phone again yesterday. Actually, I finally did it. So it's going to teach me Brazilian Portuguese, shittily and slowly, but I will be doing it. Yeah.
I think Doug learned Japanese by using ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken, and he actually did a pretty good job.
We're not doing part of the show on AI. We've done it for every other episode.
I'm just mentioning it could be a great way to do that because you're like, well, how do I say this? Why do I say this? Show me like links, help me read up on it, because it's a bit more interactive. So you can just be like, dude, I don't understand this.
And then it tells me like the word for dick instead of bread because they're really close in Brazilian Portuguese.
You might get a little bit of dick bread going on, but it could be exciting though.
I've heard that these two words are almost like they're very close to each other in Brazilian Portuguese, and I swear to God, it's gonna teach me wrong as a joke. Be the worst, dude. Hate it so much.
Yeah,
actually insane.
It's time for me to go. I gotta go take care of those kiddos. They're getting very wild. They want to play Fortnite, so I gotta go play Fortnite with them.
Yep. Look, somebody wrote it in chat. One's got a little wiggly above it and an O in the end. The other one's got a U at the end with no wigglies.
PAU versus PAO.
Yep. What are you gonna do with it? Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely mess that up.
How do you pronounce that?
Luckily,
I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Yeah. I'm not doing it. Anyway, well, you have a good one. I'm going to get back to killing
Ashes
things.
of Creation?
I'm doing it.
All right, do it.
I'll see you around, nerd.
See you around.
Why are you shrinking to the bottom left, Prime?
Why do you bully me?